Okay, I hope I'm not late. It might be 2:01. But we are back to do the next in my Hollywood hair series. I've opted to do Hedy Lamarr style today using a heat set. I apologize for not putting what I was doing today out yesterday. It's a busy day, but that's okay. We're getting going. Okay, just trying to keep things from getting too weird. Music and stuff, I don't want to get a copyright strike. Okay, so we are going to be working on Hedy Lamarr style, and it's a very simple one and easy to do yourself at home with just a curling iron and a couple clips to hold while the hair is cooling. And I'm just going to start by reading her information, which is Hedy Lamarr. The perfect oval of Hedy Lamarr's face is set off by the simplicity of the center part coiffure she habitually wears. Her hair is thick, naturally curly, and of medium texture. How her hair is cut: the front and center strands of hair on each side of the part are about 3 inches long, so 3 inches. The hair is then tapered down the sides to a length just missing the shoulder. Across the back, the hair is cut fairly straight without much tapering at a just above the shoulder length. The difference between what's being described here and my doll head that I'll be using is that her hair is a bit longer, but the eventual length is right about shoulders. So I think it's easily adaptable to more of a bob, more of a less tapered, more average type of layers. The haircut is fairly adaptable to this style, and and this doll has bangs, and I'm not going to mess with those. They're not going to be part of it. Imagine if the haircut was not including bangs and just work from there. So as you can see, the hair is fairly short in the back, would stop just above the shoulders. This is probably the doll head who is the closest to matching the star style that I've used thus far. It's very simple. I started by she was already washed and clean, and all I did was put in some Miracle Creator for protection and moisture, and a little Indian Amla for some strength, and some slip in the hair. And I will be using the Stylink Heat Buffer as I go through and use the curling iron. I'm just going to read what we're doing here and show you what it is. The waves in front are created by 4 large loose stand-up curls that are rolled under 2 are set side by side with the center part between. Then rolled under stand-up curls continue 2 by 2 down the sides, slanting slightly backward in a line that goes behind the ear. There are 2 rows of pin curls across. So what we are going to do is, instead of doing stand-up pin curls, we're going to do use the curling iron and do it in a stand-up fashion all the way down the side of the head, and then we'll do the back with simple 2 rows of pin curls. And that will be, this one is one of the simpler and more classic styles, and if you don't feel comfortable, or if you're styling someone else's hair, if they don't feel comfortable having a center part, you can just shift one like the width of one roller, or in this case the width of the curling iron. And I'm just going to start by taking down the left side, and I'm going to use the heat buffer, and I'm going to spray the entire section, or subsection really, I guess. Spray it, let it sit and stew for a minute. And we're just going to start, I'm going to move the camera now. We're going to start at the top, and I want a solid part here in the middle, but I'm going to do a zigzag parting for each of these stand-up curls, so I don't end up having straight lines, partings between each of the rollers. So I'm just going to show you. It's not meant to be perfect. I'm just going to pull her off and just show you that it's a zigzag type parting, so you can create a less straight line. Now, Hedy Lamarr's hair was cut about this long on the top, so it would layer all the way down. This particular doll is very obviously not cut that short. So using my 1-inch barrel curling iron, because this is loose and somewhat casual, we're going to roll it. So instead of splitting into 2 stand-up curls, I've done the entire width of the section on the curling iron. Don't mind the steam, it's just coming off the hair. Promise I'm not burning anything. And now that that's out, I'm going to take 2 regular little single prong clips to secure this in the stand-up fashion. And that's the important part here, is to create that stand-up curl. We're going to do the zigzag part again. Now, if you didn't have bangs, you would take this subsection all the way to the hairline. So, putting in and laying it in all the way at the base helps distribute the heat through the hair before we start the curling in process, so that you can ensure that you're going to get the greatest amount of curl and movement out of the entire set. And if you were doing this for yourself, I feel like it would still be a fairly simple activity to literally just roll down. And the whole thing is just roll down all the way to the ear. And like I said, if say you wanted to have a slightly shifted part, you could take and move one of these 2 rolls here, either side, and roll it to the other side, so that you can get a little bit more of the not quite harsh middle part. Once more, we've gone through and zigzagged in between, and you can see I'm kind of pulling pretty far up, because I really do want this to sit on base, so I'm going to come in, run a little heat through here, watch all the product in here start steaming all over the place. It's good. We put the heat protectant on, she'll be fine. And then roll it down and let it sit for just a few moments. I kind of just test with my fingers until I feel what I consider a sufficient amount of heat through all the layers of hair. Slide the curling iron out, tuck the pins in, and then just, this is a really, I think when we're done here, we'll have 5 curls down this side, so we'll be looking to have about 5 curls down the other side. And between each of these stand-up curls, I've done a zigzag parting so that we don't have a harsh line hanging out. And I do have some tapering around the front on this haircut, so we'll have to see if I have to adjust for the hair being, there we go. And just tuck it around, roll it down, hold it till it feels toasty. And then once it does, I just use my fingernail to slide the curl off. I know not everybody has fingernails. If that's not available to you, can potentially, I'll see if I can show you how to use the comb to get the curl off the curling iron. And I could part this a little further back and extend to match the guide, but for the sake of simplicity, I find that it's much easier to come in and work basically using the back of the ear as your guide for parting. Okay, so I'm going to see if I can, so I'm just using my but I'm going to use the comb. And I'm just going to use the tail end and just use it to guide, and ta-da! Not quite how I would have. Of course, when I use my hands, I have the ability to hold the curl where I want it, but I think that gets the idea across. So here we have 5 stand-up rolls, and that completes a whole section. So it's really a pretty rapid fire situation. I'm gonna scoot the camera and show the other side. Same thing, just coming down the other way. Everything first spraying the section with the heat bucker, and then come through here and let it sit and soak for just a moment. I think I'm going to have to move my little cart, possibly. We shall see. Let me scoot it a little bit. That's probably fine. I should be able to. I have to reach a little crookedy. So once more, we're going to go through and about the width of the curling iron, do a nice zigzag parting. And I will show one more time what that looks like. Just a good, it doesn't have to be perfect, just a nice zigzag. So when it comes time for the comb out, you don't have straight roller marks. And that's really all that's for. And as you can see, I'm holding it straight up, come down to the base, put the iron in. Sorry, my hand's in the way. Guide it up to the end. And then, I know you can't see it, but once I get to the end and all of the ends are tucked under the spoon of the iron, then I begin rolling down. There's my wrist. My apologies. I tend to work right-handed. So, testing the curl, sliding it off that you can't even see. Just, well, maybe you can. Slide it off. Grab a couple single prong clips. Tuck one and 2. Then continuing. Next one, same thing. About the width of the iron. Zigzag part. And we're going to comb up to get body and lift, volume, call it what you will. because it's nice to have a little volume in the hair. So, same thing. Sorry, you're just seeing the butt end of the curling iron. Pulling it up, all the hair until I get to the ends tucked in. Let's see if I can keep those secured. Yes, beautiful. Apologies. Once more, just looking at a curling iron. Kind of see what I go through though. This is a really relatively, because it is so simple, it can be a relatively fast set for somebody with medium length hair. A little longer and it gets harder to roll in where you want it to. A little longer, and like, I don't know that I would attempt to do this to myself with the length of my hair, but it's a nice style choice for almost any hair type, but it's not easily attainable on yourself the longer your hair is, just because trying to get all the way to the ends and keep the curl. I'm gonna use my little comb there, while trying to keep the curl straight, so coming straight down. My arms literally aren't long enough to do it. This is definitely something that I would be willing to have somebody else do in my hair for the sake of getting volume and curl. All right. Let's put this in too. I think she has different amounts of hair on the sides of her head, but that's okay. Most everybody does. It's pretty normal for someone to have a slightly different amount of hair and a slightly different hairline side to side. I've had a client whose ears sat a 1/4 inch different from each other, which meant that running a style like this, I would actually only be able to fit, say, if I was doing this exact style on her hair and went down the middle, on this right hand side, I would only be able to fit in four curls, just because she had such a different amount of hair side to side. Because of the way her ear sat, meant that her hairline sat higher, which meant that she was not able to, in order to help her hair hold the same amount of rollers per side, I actually had to then take the center part of her hair and move it just slightly over so that it would, so that all the rollers would fit the way that she wanted them to. And that's an important thing to note for anyone, is that you do have different amounts of hair, different thicknesses, different growth patterns, different hairlines side to side. So don't panic if they're not perfectly even, because nobody's perfectly even. But I managed to do it. Fit 5 rolls on each side. If this were done with the wet set and the stand-up curls, usually if I'm going to do a wet set with stand-up curls, I'm going to use rollers anyway, so it'd still be the width of a roller. But you could also do 2 columns of thinner curls. This just helps pick up the pace and make the time go a little bit faster. And now we're on to the back, and the back is a very simple 2 rows of pin curls. So I'm going to show you how to execute 2 rows of pin curls in the back of the head with the curling iron. So spraying this first subsection, and I went ahead and parted about ear to ear with a little bit of a U shaping. And given that in this series they always say that all of your pin curls need to roll to the front of the head, we're going to find about the middle and roll each side. And I'm just gonna kind of make a random amount. This is just more for getting that fluff at the bottom than it is about specific curls. So I come in, it's aimed forward, and then we just roll up here, hold it just enough to get it, and then we're going to make a, we're going to tuck it around itself and make a little bit of a flatter pin curl. I need to stick it down tighter. There, that's more like it. Then I'm going to just split that in 2. We may get away with just having 3 curls per side. So coming in and rolling it forward towards the face, towards the ear, away from the center. And this can be really easy to do because there's not a call for perfection in this section, that you can easily execute this yourself just by feel. And that's, put my face in the screen. It's a good look. And then come through here and once more. This will be the last one on this side. Rolled forward towards the face, away from the center parting. Let it sit for a second. And pin, just grab, tuck, because I did put the heat protectant on here. It gets a tiny bit crunchy, but it combs out really nice. So there we have the 3 curls on that side, coming around. I don't know what I'm doing. Hold on. Okay, got it. And then we'll do the same on this side, which is, looks like we'll be able to fit about 3 curls. And if you were going just by feel, just kind of grabbing this back corner, and then we'll curling iron in, rolling forward toward the face, just guiding the hair in, let it sit for just a moment. And tuck it into itself, make a cute little pin curl, tucked in. Yep, doesn't want to tuck in. You just force it, make it go. And that's why I like to, show what's really going on here. Not every one of these is going to be sorry, my hand's there. They're not going to be perfect. They're not meant to be perfect. It's really just about setting in the pattern so that you get the wave and the curl. This can be helpful for somebody who has naturally curly hair if they just want to get a little control on the ends, especially due to how we're going to do this second row coming up, because it'll be the last bit that we're going to do. The last little subsection is going to be the entirety of this top section pulled down into very long stem pin curls. And so say you're somebody who has curly hair and you just want to get some control, maybe you don't take the curling iron all the way down to the root, but just focusing on the ends of the hair. And our last, it's a pretty big subsection. It is the last. So we're going to give it another spritz with the heat buffer. Because everybody should be using a heat protectant every time they put any heat in their hair, even a blow dryer. And especially for those of everybody that might have color in their hair, the more you can use heat protectant, the less you're going to have to worry about hair losing color. It will fade eventually, but this helps keep that from happening. And because I just want to keep it a little not stiffly parted, I'm going to part the top section using a bit of a diagonal combing technique. Let that out of the way for a moment. Stay. And we're just going to make a very long stem curl. So it's probably, give or take, a ½ inch wide. This is also a nice time to just kind of just fake it. So I'm going to still roll, I don't know, let me scooch. Okay. Roll this forward toward the face from I don't know what that part was doing. Try again. Start over. I just had a weird hair that got. Then roll it toward the face. Realize that we still have a very long stem. So in this case, if you had naturally curly hair, that would aid in letting your natural curl just do what it wants to do. So now we're going to take this, roll it up, and pin it in while maintaining the long stem. So we're going to do this again. This one might end up being about 4 curls, just for the width of the section, and we're not down at the nape of the neck anymore. See where I put you. And so combing down, keeping a nice long stem. Nice long stem. Come in down low, down by the base, and curling forward towards the face or away from the middle, however works best for you to think about the position. Let it sit and warm up for a moment. Pull it out. And because it's in the back there, I don't really have to guide it off. I will just recollect it, gather it up together, and pin it. Yep, I'm going to take and split this in half. So we are going to end up with 4 curls on this subsection. And holding it down, long stem. Putting the curling iron in at the base of the curl. Coming around. Holding for long enough to feel heat through. And like I said, since I don't have to worry about certain things, I can just let it fall because I'm going to gather it back up. guide it around itself, and put a clip in. Last curl, same thing. We want to keep that long stem. Long stem, because this is still somewhat, even though this is a 1950s hairstyle, and so the styling itself was a little bit loose, I feel like there is definitely room for that 1940s smooth crown to still be in play a little bit. Just as most things in fashion and hair trends do take some time to change completely, to, I guess, you know, to say like that they take a bit to die out. They take a little bit of time to become the next thing that would be very era specific. So now we move over to the right side. I'm all backwards. I don't know what's going on. And come through here and do the last, what we will presume is probably the last 4 curls of the set. So same thing, about a 1/2 inch wide subsectioning, give or take. So if you're doing this on yourself, just best guess it. Long stem, holding the curling iron at the base. We shall to the end of the hair, turn it around and curl it down enough to get warm. Grabbing and twisting and tucking in right where I want that curl to sit. Then we'll do the next. And that's going to be lovely curl sitting on its neighbor. And the reason that I started from the ear and worked my way towards the middle on each side is because we are going to have these curls sitting on top of each other, and it's a lot easier to go in this order so that you don't cause potential deformities in the curl where they might not sit well. You might not be able, like if I started back here and then I wanted to, like say this curl here, and then I wanted to move here, this is already laying over the top of that. It would really interrupt the flow and also just the workability of the area. So I've just divided this in half, this last little section. It's more, we're still keeping a good long stem. Using curling iron, rolling all of the hair. There we go. Forward towards the face or away from the middle. And then just let it heat up until you feel good about the temperature all the way through. Gather the curl and clip it in. This is a really good set for anyone who doesn't feel confident about setting a specific type set where you have to have exactly so many curls in this section and exactly so many curls in this section, and they have to all be parted exactly in 1 inch squares. That doesn't always happen. And that is why I like sets like this, where they're meant to be a little more soft and approachable. So we're going to just do this last curl here. Gather it up. Grab have all the hair gathered up and pin it next to all the neighbors. And now we have a completed set, which, if done without demonstration, probably could be done in 15-20 minutes. So we're just going to show comparison. We have the, if you look, the top. I wish I had more hands. More hands. The top, stand-up curls. The side, also stand-up curls. All the way, there you go, see? Side, stand-up curls. And then from the front, you can see that they are stand-up curls here. And then from the back, 2 low rows of pin curls. And when we come back next week, I will comb this out and show how to get a very pleasing effect just using, let's see, so 24 curls. That is literally all that's on here. It's 24 curls. And depending on how, what size your head is or what size of curl you decide to use, you might even do larger and get away with even less. But that's what we have for today. I'll be back next week, 2 o'clock, to comb out and show you some finishing for this particular style. And I will see you all there.